Okay, we're live. Evening, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome all those in chat. It's good to see you. It's obviously TFC. This is Season 3, Episode 7. This is February's Bishop's Rock Raid Briefing. Okay, as you can see, we're a little bit late tonight, which is quite handy because I thought I might try something different in a bit. We have got two good things about tonight. One is the raid update, which has got a little bit of an interesting, as we thought last week, a little bit interesting delivery in the thing that's going to be on the right side of the prize pool, and a rather crazy prize list, obviously, for the general sort of prizes available on the bottom row. Interesting to see how they're going to deliver that this time, because there's a heck of a lot. And then basically there's a new announcement from GDR, which I'm exceptionally pleased with. So, seeing as it's late tonight, and there's a reason it's late tonight, I'll bring up a slide, and well, you ought to know what it is, to be honest. But I'll bring up a slide anyway, because I put a hint in the bottom corner. So I'm sure you can see that. So yeah, it's February the 14th. Where is everybody? People are on late nights, people are on a holiday and that sort of stuff. People are doing that funny thing that's in the corner there. So what I thought we'd do is I'll put the feed in now. And I thought we'd just make this one an open mic for a change, because otherwise it's TSM talking to himself in his microphone and then you guys in chat listening. So, and yeah, Johnny, happy Valentine's Day to you and everybody else in chat as well. So come on, hop on in. Don't maybe sit here by myself, and we'll have a chat and we'll see how it goes. Sloppy get TSM. That's as far as it gets, okay? I'm not putting any more on the slide than that. Okay. While you're hingering, deciding, and that sort of stuff, let's have a quick look at what we're going to go through tonight, shall we? Right. So here we go. This is what the slide pack for this week contains then. What it's got then, we've got obviously the Bishop's Rock raid brief. Obviously the raid targets, and we've had some greater detail about that, which is good news. And then basically we've got the raid points payouts. There are some slight changes, so we'll deal with those as we look at them. The raid prize list, I managed to get some good pictures of those today from GDR, which is nice. Then I've got an addition, because this sort of like slipped in right at the end, but it's a really important thing, and I think I'd rather spend a bit more time talking about that and getting your guys' feedback as well. And then we've got some balance and sort of bug fixes anyway. So that's about it, really, to be honest. But we'll have a little look and see how it goes. So here's the first thing then, obviously. Remember the season, okay? So this series then is the Dawn of the Legion, basically. This one's called Bishop's Rock. It's the second of the series. All right, then. We all know that as per normal, it's starting this Thursday. That date is not correct. So that's not too good. I should edit that, shouldn't I, to be honest? So I'm not quite sure why that should actually say Feb. So we're not doing very well there. But anyway, so Bishop's Rock, I'll change that before I put out the slides. Okay, second of the event series, okay, targets including fire archers, shell launchers, okay, Legion cannons, that sort of stuff. Nice thing here is the fact that over here is the event badge. Okay, so that's quite nice. If you haven't seen that before, the dragon sort of effect, which is good. Right, nothing really changes about the release times, but if you're new to raiding and that sort of stuff, then obviously they're staggered, like I said. So it'll be 9 AM for those obviously in Alpha World. Clearly don't go to work in the daytime if you're that kickside time anyway. You may work nights or you may not work, I don't know. And then obviously it staggers for an hour in between each one. Right up to Epsilon, obviously, which is 1 PM. For those in the UK, that sort of like kicks off in the evening sort of time, so it's +8 hours. So it's a little bit easier for us to manage. And those that have normally anyway, those that are sort of like getting home later in the evening, they normally move down to Delta Epsilon, so it makes life a bit better for them. The raid is always locked down as per normal, okay, and so relocations, sector threat, base part targets, gantry, that sort of stuff, daily campaigns, and your friends list is limited to 10, so there's no change there. Anyway, right. Okay, so as it says, all these features are disabled at the respective start for each of the worlds. You can still actually hop from world to world, but you can only hop further to the west sort of stuff. So if you're in sort of, let's say Delta and that sort of stuff, and you can hop to Epsilon, but you couldn't hop back as Delta. It's just not possible. So, it's one of those things. Bear in mind that there are things that you can do. Okay, you can still obviously collect, obviously the, well, it should be on the next slide actually. To be honest, it is. Yeah, there we go. Then, so expeditions are still remaining on again. Okay, which is good news. Hey, it sounds like someone's just joined in to help and say hi. That's George, isn't it?
It might be.
It might be slightly late, but hey, don't worry about it.
I'm trying to do birthday cakes and birthday dinners and stuff today, so
I know. But anyway, okay. So it's like a Valentine's date. This now it's even worse.
Yeah, the double thing every is, I'm used to it now.
All right, it is. Hey, it's all right. So we made this one open tonight because I was by myself, so we've got some extras. So that's good. Hey, Cal, how you doing? All right.
Hello. How's it going?
Welcome, buddy. So what's this one? Basically, this is the Rhenium. You can get it as per normal. The prize points are no more exciting than they normally are. In fact, they're pretty dreadful. But what's good is obviously expeditions are available. So that's another way of getting some uranium. Although I don't particularly like the method myself.
Did they release that whole generalist bonus thing yet? Or is that coming?
It's coming in the next one, I think, because they're really pushing now to try and get us to use the new Tier 7 generous cell, aren't they?
I mean, with the new cards, with those 2-star cards, it looked like they were trying to push to actually use the expeditions in general, and I just wish they would increase that payout just a bit.
Yeah, like quadruple. That would be nice.
Yeah.
There we go. So Wayne's in. Hey, Wayne, how you doing?
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing, mate? Haven't heard of you for a while.
Been very busy with work and other stuff on that.
Oh, well, good to see you, mate. And Venom's in as well.
Happy post Valentine's.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Fortunately, George missed the Valentine's bit I did right at the start, so that's probably a good thing.
Woohoo! All right.
It's day after for us.
It's the day after, mate. Yeah, which is not a bad thing for you, mate, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, not to worry. So there we go. That's the resources. George is also trying to sort out birthday cakes, obviously, so he has to keep dipping and dipping out. But anyway, right. I just thought refresh because a lot of people were sort of like were going for the low end or the very low end targets, that sort of stuff. And there has been some slight, you'd expect escalation, that sort of stuff. But there has been some good descriptors coming out. And so I thought we'd go through what we got in each target just to make sure. Now, clearly rock formations are fantastic and they're not exactly exciting, but be cautious because you do get stuck on them and then you're stuck in the target and you've got to exit the target, which is a real nose. So some of the rock formations are designed to sort of like go off the edge of the screen and stop you sort of kiting around the outside of and get into the easier parts. So just bear that in mind that, if you head that direction, you're generally not going to get past and you might actually get your fleet stuck because I actually tried it and I did. Like as per normal, you get the 2 mist types on the water. Obviously, one it's a pretty nasty sort of stuff. It does an awful lot of radioactive damage. So keep well away is the sort of suggested idea there. Platform types, they look very similar, but just the water ones have got the base is more spread, basically. But apart from that, the top end of it looks identical. But moving on, we know about the emitters. We've got a bit more information about those in a second. The silos are just basically the res collectors. But the emitter launch pads, those are the things you need to target as soon as possible because they are freaking annoying. And we'll talk about emitters in a second. And then all the different damage types there. But we've got that better explained, I think, on the next slide. But just because it looks like a missile, don't assume it's going to do missile type damage. That's the easiest way to put it, I think. Right, so I pulled these out because these were obviously on the forum page as well. So we had sort of like what the Fire Archer did and obviously what it could be countered by, and same with the Inferno Launcher. But what we didn't have is obviously the Johnny Age 5 explanation of obviously the different emitters. So this sort of really George's cake wasn't ready, so he's back, by the way. These emitters. So do you want to go through these, mate? If you
yeah, I mean, the one thing that I did actually wish they would do, because they have the different colors up at the top, especially like I like the purple. If they made that ring purple, as well, instead of having it all red, because you know when you're trying to rush through these things. But so each emitter does a separate thing. We have the burn emitters, which deal damage in an aura. That's the ones that you see the big ring and you walk in and you lose, you know, health. They have the offensive emitters, and those will actually increase the damage of the turrets in the area. It's really interesting because those, if you go in and hit, say, a turret that does a fire field, it actually does make the fire field hurt worse.
Yeah.
So if you're driving, if you don't auto and you're not lazy like me and you're driving, try and nail those things as you're coming up to the turrets, because they're usually either just to the side or right in front of them. And then they have the defensive emitters. Those increase the defenses of the turrets and the buildings, so they take longer to hurt or to kill. I generally have ignored those. I'll be honest.
Yeah. If I've got a defensive ring to drive into, that's the one I drive into.
Yeah. Yep. Because that one's just, I don't know. But I really would, like, I like the colors. If they make the orange a little bit more like neon-y and then change the halos around each emitter, I think that would actually stand out a little bit better and it would look a little cooler too. I mean, they did all sorts of great work with those rocks and stuff, but anyway.
The visuals in general are very good, aren't they? You know.
They've been doing, yeah, I mean, they've been doing a great job with it. And with some of the stuff that I've seen coming out lately, it looks like they're trying to change direction in the right direction too. So we'll see. You know,
put an extra slide in for this night, so it's not just about red.
Oh,
so
good.
We can talk.
Yep. So we also have. You want me to do the turrets as well?
Yeah, well, we're generally okay. I just wanted to remind people that basically, whilst the fire archer is dumb fire, so wherever you were, the second it left the turret, that's where it's going to land, and you do have a chance with sprints to knock it down. But it's not quite the same with the Inferno launcher. That's the I'm going to track you till I hit you, no matter where you go, sort of stuff. And you have the option to, it may or may not get shot down using, you know, Phalanx 4. But apart from that, or Phalanx in general, but mostly Phalanx 4 seems to work best.
Yep.
Other than that, sprint's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and remember, we have new targets coming up, so we don't know. Like in the last S target for the Bucky, there was no Inferno launcher. I kept my phalanxes on mine just in case, and I don't know if we're going to need them or not. So we'll find out the first day of the raid, I guess.
I'm wondering about the blunderbuss type targets as well, to be honest, because we didn't really see a huge amount of those. Remember we were doing we were viewing the initial sort of like preview, and it was like, God damn, man, I got within like two centimeters too close, and all of a sudden wallop, you know.
Yeah, that was the ouchie. But that ouchie is made for the Hydra that has the extra range. I don't know that they'd put that in the S target for the Bucky, because the Bucky is, you know, it's intended to auto, and you know, you walk into that. Yeah, you'd walk into that every single time. So I'm hoping I don't see that in the Buccaneers S target.
No, well, they have definitely split it up, which we'll come on to. In fact, here we are. Look, so here's the tier point system, and obviously the tier prizes points. Sorry. So this one here is split down into two separate sort of fields. So limited to tier 7 holes, very difficult targets, high payouts. Okay, new targets. There's no limits in how many you can hit. You know, although it was a crazy limit last time. Venom, what was it? Something like 100 or 200 you were allowed to hit. I can't remember what it was, to be honest. But
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something really high, wasn't it, to be honest? But anyway, it was a high amount. I can't remember exactly.
I'm pretty sure it was 200.
200 was it, mate? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think it was 99 in the previous raid cycles, but it was upped in this raid cycle because of people complaining.
I remember because I was trying to work out how many I would have to hit a day to actually get the maximum, and I worked out that's a ridiculous amount. I'm not going to sit that much time to get 200.
You need to get some fresh leather on your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pin your eyes open with some matchsticks or something. But yeah, so anyway, the new ones, we've got the Buccaneers trap can only be in Buccaneers and Buccaneers boom. Okay, now so they've made a correction this time. So remember, obviously you could take the wrong thing into the wrong targets and they just wouldn't fire. So that's not happening this time. They're going to lock you out. So at least you can't make a mistake. So that's a good thing. Okay, the Hydra's Den this time, you know, it's bring in the Siege Hydra or the blood Hydra with the blood Hydra or without it, sort of stuff. So that's a good thing, I think, this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they did the lockout rather than the blocking the firing thing, because that's just. But what I did,
damage for nothing, aren't you?
Yeah, and I really, 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 really wish they had gone back to the last raid set where they would have done something like 4.5, and 2. You know, I don't know that I'm a fan of this 3.5, 4 thing, because I mean, and I'll say it is selfish. I've just finished well, I haven't actually finished the tweaks on my bucks yet, but I have the bucks essentially done, and I'm on the third hull on the Hydra, and none of the other two are not completely built. So I'm not going to see this until the fourth raid.
I don't think a lot are, to be honest. They're quite long builds, these two. I mean, I know we're getting tokens, but they're still long builds. There's a lot to go on at the moment.
Well, I put up the two builds on the last article. The two builds that I have for the Buck and the Hydra are combined 205 or 215 days.
Yeah.
And now after tomorrow, we'll be building for the new FM hull.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So I'll be lucky if I can actually see this by the end of the raid set, which is kind of depressing, but.
It is, and I've virtually done everything apart from hits and 120s, and I still don't have enough charged armor myself. And I'm a person that goes out and gets all my TLCs and does all and gets all I can in the raid. I still don't have enough to finish the whole set to put what I want on each of the ships. It's just not possible. So it's we're all in that boat. But anyway, right. Bear in mind then, so those will be in your campaign towers, which means you can't co-op or you can't prep and that sort of stuff. What's out on the open water this time, because we're in number 2, is last month's targets. Okay, there is no set bonus, so it's just pick one or the other, which is a nice thing, to be honest. But they're worth sort of 1.5 million in total each. Okay, so that's a considerable drop. It's only as the previous raid S for one of them. So yeah, okay, because they weren't both S targets, but one was. So anyway. There you go. All right. So it's a huge drop down. So if you can, I would attack the latest target if you can in your campaign tower, because one or the other is still better than doing both of the ones below. So see how it goes. I don't know. What do you think on points, guys? Happy or not happy?
Well, looking at what the prize, sort of the prize list and how much everything is, it's not the extreme prices that we've seen previous raids where it's 40 to 60 million for the top ships. It's down sort of 20 million. I worked out I need about 170 million, which is what, 35 targets, I think.
Yeah.
Which, it's really a drastic change from the last few raids where you're not going to have to sit and grind for hours and hours. It's going to be a lot better than the last ones, and
I think they're trying to go away from that. There are some definite indications that things are going in the right direction, I think.
I mean,
my only concern is having to go in and out of targets constantly.
Yeah, that's the charge thing in the Bucky particular, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, we don't have to do as many targets, but I think they've realised that because we're having to go in and out, we're going to reduce the prices of things and make them have to hit less, but they're still going to have to go in and out of the targets more. So it may be balanced in time, sort of similar to the last raids, but it's possibly less work.
Can I be a skeptic? I'm not so sure. So the fact that it's, I mean, most of that I agree with, but some of it, the fact that we're getting, put those two targets together. If you had both fleets and you're going out in the water and going, oh, it's much faster, I'll just do these two, which is 3 million points, which is fantastic. But when you get the other two targets together, which is like obviously 7, and then you get the 4 on top of that, I've got a funny feeling they're going to open the targets up and make them a little bit bigger.
Well, possibly. But I'm kind of looking at the cost itself, because we're going, my concern's going into the new FM cycle, because that is still, most people still consider it the cornerstone of the game. And to get just 3 new things, it's 40 million, right? People are already struggling to have, like, I think Ren put up a poll, or somebody put up a poll on the page yesterday, and there's a lot of people that still don't have even just the Buckies done, and they're going to be grinding. So those people, I don't know if they're going to be able to go into that set, even if they go in and out. I mean, I got it so I could auto the things, but I went full charged armor, and I don't know that many people actually have that. So I'm not sure how feasible the 40 million is, because if you start people, behind the 8 ball right going into the FM, but then again, I also don't know if they're going to be offering that in the FM. I mean, they could be huge prizes in the FM as well.
Yeah, I mean there are multiple options coming up in it because I've got some slides later on which compound the. No, I'm not going to say the impact of the new ship may be a little bit less, but it still dictates that you really should try to get the new ship, if you know what I mean. But it acknowledges the fact that you probably couldn't get it. If you know what
I mean, the one really good thing is that there's a transition period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's a good thing. I just don't know how big of one there's going to be.
Well,
we'll get through this and we'll sort of summarize because there are some interesting keynotes in a moment.
If we put it in perspective to what happened last year, it's a big step up in their thought processes of how they're doing things and how it will affect the player base.
Yeah.
Whereas last year it was just, we'll change this, not tell anyone, and have a complete riot over the forum.
Well, we're getting notice. Your fair point. Yeah, we are getting a lot of notice.
They're at least trying.
Yeah, agreed. Right. Anyway, so that's the tier 8. Like I said, those are the two top targets. They're both there now, both S targets, both available, and obviously last month. So in your campaign towers, and the ones that were there for last month, they are less, but available on the open water. So if you are in a prepping mood for people, then obviously it is possible to get there. Anyway,
on that, sorry if I could just.
Yeah, go on.
I was wondering, and you just made the point, on the 2 open water targets, even though there's less points, it says 1.5 million in total. Does that mean you're going to get points per damage or points for killing the target?
Yes, you are.
So that sort of makes it harder to prep because you're not going to leave much.
Then they're not helping, are they? Yeah.
No, not really. If there was 1.5 for the actual target, killing the target, that'd be awesome for prepping because you could go in there and prep and then the person would get the points.
It was half last time. But this time I've got a funny thing. It's based on the amount of damage, and there's no bonus at all for completing the actual target. So if you go and do it to the last, one building, res tower, then obviously they're only going to get the points for the res tower, which
is not worth it.
Nah, it didn't even make. No is the answer to that, George.
We still.
I was only
good
saying that because there's total.
We still have to point out there is going to be a set. That's not replacing the A set in case anyone.
No, this is just extra. That's all. Yeah. So that takes us on quite nicely. So here is the completion bonus. So it's going to take you more time, but yeah. So the tier 7, which is the old A set, as we always knew it. Okay. There you go. So it's a 1.65. So actually, you're going to get a better return for this target, and technically, it should be a little bit easier as well. But you have to do all 3. So, you get the points if you obviously add those all up and kill them yourself. And then just give them the completion bonus, if you just leave them in a building, sort of stuff in each one. So, yeah, 500, 600, and 750 for those. There are completion bonuses, obviously, for tier 6 as well. So, obviously, but it's less. Tier 5, obviously, it's right down there. But as it says at the bottom, okay, it's back in. I know we don't like it, but it was turned off last time. Let's see how it goes this time, but yeah, hitting targets below your recommended level results in obviously fewer points. This does not affect completion bonuses for a finished set. So yeah, if you are a little bit stuffed and now struggling, then just obviously work out what's better for you. Is it better to sit in the chair, play longer, and just get a lower completion bonus, but actually still be able to do plenty of them, or is it better to go and take damage and try and struggle through and just complete one A set maybe? Don't know. But tier 6 and below, generally, anybody that's above level 80, you're sort of like in that sort of like penalty bonus area. So it is what it is. It's back in,
Did we have like, because we haven't had anyone actually clarify this in months and months and months for the hit down, because because at one point even the A sets were counted in this, and like I just want to know what the level is so people know. And
no idea. I don't know how it even computes to the tier either.
Because I mean, if you're going, because it's the way that it was worded in the forums was your recommended level. Well, my recommended level, I'm a level like 12, 13, something like that. Oh, A sets are not my recommended level. Am I going to suffer a hit down penalty? I mean,
but it's worse than that, isn't it? Because the fleet level doesn't relate to the base level anymore.
Yep.
Yep.
So just by being a high level in the base has nothing to do with what ships you're sailing these days.
Yeah, it really needs to be based around what fleets you're using rather than your base level, because base level is just pointless now.
No, if it's a tier 7 target, I mean, we haven't got any tier 8 hulls, but if you're having a tier 7 target, the idea is to hit it with a tier 7 ship fleet, isn't it? You know, if you're hitting above into the tier 8s, then obviously you at least made it. But the marker I'm going for, then it's probably, it would be better to probably say, you know, a tier 7 target is fine, you get all your points. As soon as you hit a tier 6 with a fleet of tier 7s, then you might get a hit down thing, maybe, I don't know. But that's just because we're at tier 7s now, so that wouldn't obviously impact next time. It would change because obviously the tiers will go up, but as it stands at the moment, that would make some sort of logic, or it does to me, and I'm not exactly a technical person, but
yeah, it really puts off some players coming back to the game having left. I know a couple of players who've just recently come back and they're level 100s plus, but they don't have any of the ships, and they're getting penalties for hitting the only targets they can.
I mean, they already have a system in place that's actually concurrent with this tier system, right? In the weapons and the hulls and stuff, you have a tier 7 hull, you have tier 7 weapons, etc. Why don't they just tie it to that? Hey, I have this hull, it's a tier 5, it's got tier 5 weapons, I can hit tier 5 with no penalty.
which is sort of thing what
Regardless
to
of
do
who
with
I am.
PvP as well. If you've got OP10, you've got a level, okay, we're not there yet, but level 10 fleets, then, you know,
Yeah.
great, attack it. If you've only got OP6, then you shouldn't be able to go above a certain tier of ship and that sort of stuff. It'd make life a lot easier, wouldn't it? But
Yeah, and I know they said that I think, was it London last year? They said they were looking at it and working on something. I hope I see it soon. Be nice.
Jumping across then to the blitz targets anyway, so 10 times blitz functionality, there you go. The 89, which we've seen actually recently, hasn't that been, wasn't that the Bucky target recently in that little campaign?
I think so. Was it
In
not?
The last level, was it level 3 of the Buccaneer TLC that just happened? Or at least that was the last 89 target. This one might be different. But Buccaneers and Hydras paying out 800k in points, basically. And minimum is going to cost you 5 gold a time. Okay. And obviously, it's up to 10 blitz functionality, so it's up to you. The 69, which doesn't pay out a huge amount, it's minimum cost of 1 gold per time. Obviously, if you think about that to do 5, you're not going to get the same sort of payout. So just base it off of which one you think you can obviously attack. I think the 69 last time was actually doable with ironclads, but depends if you want to go that direction. It does seem an awful lot of gold to spend, I suppose, to get something half decent. Some people might do it though. It's an option. It's there. I'm sure they've got statistics on how many people did and how many people didn't. Yeah, and like I said, the tier 5, you know, it's a little baby 45 target. They were very popular last time, weren't they? The 40s. Extremely popular.
Oh, very, very. Yeah. There was a race to them.
They were thin on the ground. Nobody was ready. That was the basic reason, wasn't it? There was no one really. I mean, there were a few people, but far less people were ready than I think than they imagined. So, and that was just the unknown. You know, there was too many unknowns last time.
I know our sector was mainly not ready because too many of them were trying to concentrate on them. What we always said it, and you guys have always said it. The FM is important, and they were still doing refits on their FM to try and get the FM fleet up, which delayed a day here or a day there to get the actual raid fleet ready for the raid.
Yeah, I mean that you're right, and I have to say that little blip that they had just after Christmas, the escalation of the raid target that changed, and then obviously they went all on leave and holidays sort of stuff, you know, and we were then using up our FM tokens for doing a stupid refit on the FM when actually we should have been concentrating on our raiding fleets. And it didn't need to happen. I think it goofed quite a few people up, and we lost at least 7 to 10 days of tokens for that. I
don't know if you guys agree or agree they would even look at it, but do you know this solution is really easily fixed if they wanted to fix it?
Go on.
Is we have a second shipyard that's restricted to conquerors and defenders. If they allowed to add into a third option, say the current raid fleet, so what are we on? I forgot what we're on now. What are we on? Siege?
Yeah, we're on Siege at the moment, yeah.
Right, so if they allow a Siege build, you could actually do your FM in one and the Siege in the other. And vice versa.
You could flip it around and actually be able to do the PvP Conquerors, Defenders, and Garrison.
Yeah, and then they can change it to when we come up to the end of this raid cycle, change it to the next raid cycle, and if people want to do multiple siege fleets, they actually can do 2 siege fleets at the same time, like 2 siege holes.
Yeah.
To speed up the build.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, I think they addressed that today in Raken's post with regard to the future of PvE. Now, the catch is, and I don't know, how many, do we have a slide on that? So do you want me to save that, Mark?
We have a slide on it, mate. Yeah, we'll come up to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me save that because, and save this topic because I think we'll be able to address it later when that comes up.
Which is why I want some people on the show, because there's some real big changes happening this week, and it's something we've been advocating for some time, and it's come to light. So it's I'm really chuffed. But anyway, we'll crack on through this. So price list at the moment, then. So there we go, left and right. We did sort of like hint and guess that basically something interesting was going to come on the right side, and it's there. So please note, okay, the bit at the top there, you have to own 1 on either side, not both, on either side to get into Lockstore. Okay, so just
did they actually change that now?
That's what it says. I highlighted that text specifically. It says on either side. You haven't got to get them both.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a pinch of salt with that one and assume that means I have to buy one of the top on either side.
You've got to have one of the or the other.
Right, because I already have the mass augmentation nexus,
which means you should be able to get straight into Locked. That's what happened last time.
That's the way. That's the way it reads. So hopefully it is.
And it is how it happened last time.
Yeah, that RF.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that.
At least it's not both, mate, because that's frustrating if you're not interested in going on the other side. Although I do see a lot of people swinging towards the right-hand tier this time, because clearly, I mean, Siege Rockets are nice icebreakers and that sort of stuff, but I would sort of like draw a line on that. But if you haven't got them, obviously, clearly they're a crazy, decent sort of point level, prize level. But then obviously this Inferno Dragon, which we'll talk about in a second, the Twin Fire Rocket, and obviously the new engine are there. Obviously, and that's the Garrison stuff. So this is future raid FM equipment for when the red FM targets start to change, okay, which will be coming at the end of March, or it should be. But yeah, okay, so that's it. The stuff on the left hand here is quite reasonably priced, I think, to be honest. I think Buccaneers is come down a little bit. It's quite decent, and the Peak Cannon at 9. Those things don't tend to change a great deal. So Pink Cannon at 9, and obviously the special, which I'm not even using, to be honest. The Augmentation Nexus. I've got a different plan. So because I want to do some other stuff.
I'm not entirely sold on the man still. I have it on mine, and I'm thinking I'm gonna be doing some experimenting this raid to see what happens.
I'm going pack, but not full Pac-Man. But here we go.
Yep, I went for the reload option, and it can be quite interesting. It still needs quite a bit of testing, but it looks like it may do slightly better. But I won't. Yeah, I won't put anything behind it. It still needs tested.
I don't like these things that say but I mean I like it, the 100% boost and that sort of stuff, but a 50% chance. So I've gone siege myself and really heavy on siege targeting. So I know exactly what I get every volley. I know exactly how much bang I'm getting for my buck, basically. So there's no risk against that for me. But everyone builds their ships their own way, which is what makes it interesting. Okay, what we got next then? So here, what is in the lock store? If these ships had some loving, then maybe we might chase them down. But the Hellstar, Gross Caller, Man of War, okay, Proto Nemesis, the Cadis, it's all there if you want to play with it.
Admit it, you want another Man of War. Just admit
I could build 2 now. Okay. I'm not doing it. Okay. I've seen a Cadis out today. Someone was going, oh, this TLC is great. Look at my Cadis. I'm still not biting. I'm not biting. It's just not happening. Because the second I build it, it'll go to poo. Interesting. Executioner 2's in there. We'll look at that turret in a minute. Limited at the moment to 2. And there's an explanation that you can only build so many in a base anyway, because obviously that stops a little bit like the attack mods, because it's got an extra built-in buff that it buffs each other, the more you have in your base sort of stuff. So that has a limitation on it. There's new thermal casing, basically. Number 4 has come out. We'll look at that as well. And then obviously there's the D5X synth, which is obviously the D special there, which is good. Right, that's it in there. Some of the stuff you may already have or may not have, but your food's ready, is it, George? Okay, we have got a couple of weeks, everyone. Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
We've got a few. We've got prizes, and we can talk about the prizes. You can go and eat and come back, mate. All right.
I'll probably go back and forth and eat in your ear.
Just eat fast, mate. Eat in your ear if you want to. Don't want to. Oh, okay. Right. So I managed to get all the prizes, the other prizes, okay, on a single slide. I apologize if it's a bit small, but there's a heck of a lot there. So let's have a look. What can we say? Kel, what would you pick out of this list if you were? I mean, there's a bit for everybody, really, isn't there? There's all sorts in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It depends on where you're at, what you'd prioritize.
Yep.
I mean, there's some nice, unusual things in there, and usually there's a lot of PvP stuff in there as well for a change. Sloths in there. Brenners, the bust.
I see one that's standing out very, very brightly.
Boulder Fist.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that lockdown rocket.
Lockdown is yeah. Now we've been asking for lockdown rocket. If you haven't got it, I promise you won't regret getting it.
The PvP stuff in this is very, very reasonably priced.
I think it's really good set.
The Omni Behemoth as well. 3 million points for that.
Yeah, and that's a godsend in your base. I mean, I didn't get Boulder Fist in Bounty. I didn't because I went for obviously the latest and greatest. So I'll be picking up 3 or 4 of those myself. The bus. Brilliant price.
Yep. I'm liking a lot of the stuff on here. Some of it I wish like the Blood Hydra and the Boon had come down a little bit. I'm not sold on the Chameleon still. But the rest of it,
well, we'll talk about that in a second. There's a slide on that down thing in a minute as well.
Yeah, and we're in the second of the siege things, and I would like to see the flags for the Ironclad and the Cannoneer come down just a little bit. Because they actually they do make the fleet. So, yeah,
we're definitely on the Cannoneer because the Cannoneer's fleet's pumped without the flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's proper rubbish. And I think you're right. I mean, look at the Harlock's Cannoneer at 4 million. Well, for that, then you're going to get the bus and sloths.
Yeah.
In fact, you could get sloths and the Boulder Fist for the same price. I mean, that's crazy. Or you can get a couple of hopes.
So, I mean, we can always nitpick every single list, but I mean, there's some really phenomenal deals in here, like the lockdowns. I'm going to say it again. 1 million is great, and there are some that maybe not so much, like the Hylux leads and the Chameleon stuff. But good and bad. Always got to have the balance.
I am quite pleased I've got the Cold Snap and Frostbite turret back as well.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to underestimate just the capabilities of those 2 turrets, but trust me, they do come in very handy, so they are worth grabbing if you don't have them.
There's a few things like the Eon chain guns in there, quite expensive, but still worth having. I can promise you that. There are some interesting stuff in there. Mercy CIC, if you haven't got it, is a good one. Capacitor CIC is very good. I like that a lot. That's sort of raiding stuff, but it's also interesting. There's a bit of base parts, a bit of titanium. I still think they're overpriced for what they are, to be honest. But yeah, I wouldn't be worrying about getting icebreakers and that sort of stuff now. If you've got some Zealouses, then because obviously the tokens in the F, then picking up the monolith might be a good idea. But if you really can't break and get up to that top level of 20 mil for the new FM one, and you're still in the trying to scrape ahead, then we've got something about the monoliths in a minute. But yeah, flange warheads, good rocket, flare rockets, yeah, good. There's some good stuff there. Quite like that list.
It's just missing one thing.
What you have to make?
The slowdown cannon.
Yeah, true, but then that's quite new, isn't it? I suppose.
Well, the Zatin is the D30R is not there.
Yeah.
Lockdown's there, though. That will do the
Trident.
I
mean, we can always add. I mean, I would love to see.
Yeah, but
where we have the store raid only 3 times a year now, maybe we'll see a bigger selection then.
Well, this is massive compared to what I thought it was. I was expecting 15 items at best, and this is huge. You know, I'm
But it
really
makes
impressed.
but it makes sense. You don't want to lock out your customers, right? I mean, if you're a business, you want to give your customers every opportunity to give you money. I would want everything available because then they would want to play.
No, Hydra build tokens 1 day for times 5. Is that normal?
I don't know, but I need them.
Yeah, but a full 5 days worth. You know, that's pretty good, isn't it? That's half a ship.
They still have unreasonable prices for base parts and titanium.
Yeah, I never quite get that. Particularly the titanium. I think that's disgusting. But
You can go out and get it for free compared to 2 million points. No.
wow. You can go out and get it for some damage, but I mean, yes, you can, fix afterwards. I must admit, I don't think it's worth 2 million. I'd rather go and get myself a bus, personally.
Yep.
I'd be telling people, if people are getting titanium, especially lower to mid players, I'd be telling, don't spend the 2 million on that. Spend the 2 million on getting some M&X and C armor, especially M&X, for the FM build.
Yeah, exactly, and then go out and get it that way. There are ulterior motives, isn't there? And of multiple.
I mean, you can use your points elsewhere. Actually, get the fleet, and like you said, you might have short repair, but if you're doing it smartly and getting it, and then putting a repair when you go to bed and that, you can get it for free.
Yeah. Lockdown rocket for the price. You know, it's an absolutely underrated thing. Forget the damage it does. It's the fact that what it does do is slow things down, which at the moment is a really good idea. Right. Okay, let's have a look then. Moving forward then. Next slide. What else have we got then? We've got some more stuff yet, haven't we? Yeah, prize lists. Okay, so we'll just look for some of the major prizes. So this is obviously the CR Prime for the Chameleon, which is the Draconi. The flipping generalist, sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Now there's a little bit that came out late and you might not have seen it because obviously if you went and read the early release notes, then they pop a little message down the bottom, or Rampage did. So as they did previously as well, this time they've decided that all these generalists basically are going to have, if you're that way inclined, okay, have a instant build cost reduction of 50% across the board. Up to you. So I think it's 6.5 days or something, this one, to build it. So, you know, you're going to get it for 3 days. It's up to you. The point is that obviously there's some expeditions coming up, as George sort of hinted earlier on, that are specifically geared to this ship. I don't know if that's an enticement enough to go and build the darn thing. Have you really got the time to build? I mean, look, some people have gone for this only, like Andrew for a start. He's only doing this ship, and he's only happy then to hit A-sets. He's content because, you know, that's the avenue he's going. You know.
But again, the thing is, they're offering enticements to build yet another fleet, and we're already screaming, you know, enough. We got enough fleets.
Yeah, but Andrew did say he's not doing Hydras and he's not doing Buckies. He's probably refused. He'll go generalist. He knew there was a flagship because there nearly always is, and he'll just go this way. Now he's got a chance of actually having a cost reduction and getting a fleet out probably quicker now than what actually most people will be able to get the other 2 fleets out.
Possibly, yeah.
There is one good thing about that, and I would be inclined just to coin the bare shell.
Yeah,
just for that 8 million cargo.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling whether it is 50% on a whole build or whether it's 50% just on the whole, I don't know. But I think it's the complete build.
If it's complete build, just build shells just for that cargo, because 8 million each ship is a huge
It's the best in the game, isn't it?
Yeah. At the moment, ships that the Onslaught takes 200 million of every resource just to build the shell.
Yeah, go and bookmark about 50 bases that have got all the wares on the outside and just drain them.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
It's handy.
You evil players.
But it might be what I do.
There used to be a time when people actually offered you to do that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. But in fact, is that now that the attack modules don't matter so much, a lot more people are putting the warehouses back on the outside. But you need a lot of res to build these flipping ships, as Rhenium was saying. It's
yeah.
There's a heck of a lot of needs at the moment, and people's base levels are racing up, and there's not even a lot you're doing about it apart from just building some ships. So it's charging away. Normally, it's like, you know, the new set of walls have turned up, but all of a sudden, you know, even the blank boulders and the blank flipping and the new PvP ships are just taking crazy amounts of res. So
I have one question on this ship. and it's to do with in-game. If you go to the generalist, why is it flashing gold?
I don't know.
If nobody's seen it, I'll bring it up here now.
The generalist hull is flashing gold.
Yes, it is.
Go on, share your screen. Let's have a look. I have no idea.
Nobody else noticed it. Yeah, it's highlighted for some reason, and they haven't told us why.
Because they want you to draw your attention to it. How's that?
I was thinking the same thing. Maybe it's just to get more attention to it.
There actually there's a couple
between
of
the two because they look the same because they're readied out.
No, there's a couple of glitches in the shipyard too. Because if you start trying to mess around with some of the builds, once in a while you'll come up and there'll be blank weapon slots or weapons with the tile is blank. It'll have a range and that's it. But there's nothing when you scroll it. It's just because they loaded stuff in a day early. That's all. It'll probably correct itself tomorrow.
Okay, dokie. Anyway, so that's that CR Prime. It's there. It's available. Just notice that obviously they've had some adjustments as well. And if you go onto the proper forum notes as well, I didn't add everything down here because it just goes on forever otherwise. But they've made some adjustments to obviously the capability to the chain count that's gone and changed as well, which we'll sort of look at later. It's in the bug fix tuning, but they have adjusted the chain count on this particular hull to make it more viable. Right. Okay. Moving forward slightly then, there is this. So we've got the Execution Missile version 2. Okay, looks quite funky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite smart, doesn't it? So please note then, so this has got a group cap. Remember we said at the start when GDO was on right at the beginning, he says they're going to start group capping now. So the maximum group cap for this particular missile. The fact that you can get 2 in this raid and there'll be more later, but that's not the point. There's still a group cap of 8. Okay, so you can't put any more than 8 in a base. All right, because this one here, when you start stacking them together, obviously the more you have in the base, the more beneficial it is, and then they work better. Yep. So,
and there's a limit of 2 for a reason this time. I've already gotten a whole bunch of questions about, oh my goodness, this is going to kill everything, and it's not. Stop putting 8 as the total for the aura cap because you're only getting 2.
Yeah, exactly that. So don't flap too much. GDR did say he released things over a period of time just to keep things on the stop that cantilever swinging so massively from left to right. So Ford's in chat. He says he's getting his base attacked.
Yeah, and I also don't. I want to point out too that the cap or the bonus damage that it has applies to itself too.
Yeah. So every turret, every turret of the same type and format. It will group them all together and the total quantity it's in there and then get the buff. So there's no range, is there? It doesn't say it has to be in a certain range. It's just in the base, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's map wide.
Yeah, which is good. I quite like it. It's good. So you can put one on your trap and then you can put one somewhere else and a couple on your island if you want to. Now, a couple of people are saying that the range is quite low. It's done for a reason. I think all up it's around about 200, isn't it? Because it's a 146 plus. In a minute we'll look at the special and it gets the boost. So it's quite a powerful. Look at the damage. Look, 374, and obviously we've got.
Yeah, there's also some stacking issues with the specials that's going on in the game right now that they're looking at.
Yeah. So here we go. We've got a penetrative speed boost of 50%. We've got a penetrative damage boost of 40%. So thrombotic. The casing 4 looks like a missile in its own right, doesn't it? Okay, but it's a casing, so there it is. Okay, it's
does it make my missiles pink when they fire? I mean,
I don't know.
That would be cool.
Neon. We want neon missiles.
I want to start seeing some good colors in here, like neon and stuff. I mean,
it's supposed to be battle black, not battle ninja space or pirates.
I mean, well then I need some more skulls in the game. Put a skull on the top of this thing.
We do have fire. That's something, and yes. Well, talking about fire, people that get to see the new FM hull are going to love it. But anyway, we'll come to that in a second. Right, so there we go. New casing. We'll go back to that. So are we happy with that, guys? Do we understand that? We're quite happy that there's first of all, new turrets are in now, which is nice. So It's. Do you think that's a logical way to bring them into the game? Locking them at the maximum of 8 sort of stuff, so we don't go power crazy because they.
If it'll help them balance the game, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Or more importantly, if it helps stopping somebody be able to take advantage and coin it more than others to get even more in front. So the balance of the game is also stopping it from going too fast. If you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't mind them coining it. I mean, let them coin it and get the advantage, but the catch is whether or not it's balanced in the end.
What I mean is, because of the 2, if they coin 2, they've still only got 2.
Yeah, at the moment, yes.
If they're allowed to have 8, they could coin 8 over somebody who does 2. That they got an advantage. Where if they coin only 2, they're not jumping too far ahead in the game.
Not
where
massively,
if they coin 8, it really escalating the game quicker.
It avoids the epic mort situation,
which is why they killed off all the tac mod, and so we're not in that position again. I agree with it. A lot of people won't, because a lot of people want to be the latest and greatest and in defense. You can't break my base. I'll give you 500 coin if you think you can break my base and that sort of stuff. Which I love that sort of thing. Yeah, it's good for the game. It's great fun. I love seeing that on some of the pages. But yeah, this way it sort of like does level the playing field, and it gives everybody a generally sort of like, well, I could probably get there. Now, Laredo did post it, and I have no idea what it is because I'm scrolling back up and I can't find it. But the build time for this is under 7 days.
6 days, 16 hours, I believe.
Goodness.
7 days. So base parts, you do the whole lot, guys. So get yourself stacked up before the raid starts. Win this, you can get 1 in your base straight away.
Wow, that's good.
You get 2, can't you?
And I've got a 7-day token too.
So if you've got a couple of build tokens, and there are some in the raid, you can get both of these in before the raid's even finished.
Just in time for bounty.
Brilliant.
So stack yourself up with base parts, because I think you can get, what is it, 14 days worth, roughly?
Close, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So a couple of turrets, take them off, leave them blank.
Yeah, I'm dying to get to that the slide that we have for the posting, because there's a lot of things that have happened this week that is a good,
really good stuff.
Indicator. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if we go over for 10 minutes, I don't really mind. Right, here you go. Here's the Inferno Dragon. So this is your new, and the picture's amazing. Thanks, GDR, for sending me that one. That's a real good one. Okay. That is obviously the new FM ship. Okay, then it is a rocket chucker. Okay, this thing comes out at about 105 in range once you put the special on and the rocket and that sort of stuff. So bear that in mind. Okay, so it's got some pretty crazy stats and that sort of stuff, but it's bound to be a slight escalation to the previous one. It's got to be. Okay. I like the look of it. It looks quite funky. It looks like a manifestation of various ships, though, but that's the whole idea, because they were going to do that anyway. Good statistics there. Like I say, rocket range built-in extension, as they said they were going to do, put it into the hulls. So 55% there. Explosive damage plus 75%, which is great. Building damage plus 150%. Wall damage 350%. So there's some good stuff. Do we like it? What do we reckon, guys? I know it's a bit sort of like, I've just seen it, but hang on. Cargo 8 million again, by the way.
I reckon I want to see what the flagship looks like, because, come on, it's the FM. Like, this all should have come up together, honestly, but, Yeah.
I mean, this is bound to have a flagship. Tell me an FM fleet that doesn't have a flagship. So this has, by the way, 4 slots, at the front, which you can put countermeasures on. Take that as a hint. You can put countermeasures on.
I got one concern, and I'm a bit misinformed here. Are we changing the FM targets, or are they changing the FM targets?
Well, look at the cycles in a couple of slides' time. But yes, the FM, but not just yet. But yeah, but throughout the year they will do. Yeah.
But that's what worries me with this. You look at the stats on that. I'm not a great, I'm a bit like you said. I'm not the greatest technician and all that. But looking at the stats on that with the deflection, the defenses, and all that, I keep thinking if I had one of these now built, I'd be smashing the FM. Does that mean they're going to make the FM targets even harder? Which means if you don't get this, you might even struggle more.
So, okay, I'm pretty sure that there's a plan going forward for the FM as well, and they haven't shared it on the forum here. Yeah, they haven't quite shared what the plan is, but yes, the targets are going to change. The 115s are going to stay on the map for a little bit for a transition period. The only part that I'm a little concerned about is how people are going to be affected if they don't have the Inferno going forward when they do take the 115s out. But we don't know the time for the transition. We don't know if these are going to start showing up in the FM as well before the transition finishes.
There's a post today about that, literally on just about half an hour to 3/4 an hour before we went live. GDR's written another post about the transition of the FM and how it's going to pan out and what they're going to do to help people make that transition if it takes them a long time to build this fleet. So they are thinking about it. You know, it's far better than it was last year.
Yes,
probably better than it has been the last 2 years. People are still going to have to do things. You can't just sit by idly and not do something and go, "Oh, my fleet's rubbish now."
Yeah, I just want to be clear. Like, it's not better yet, but the thing is the direction that they're going already is better than I want to say all of 2017. I mean,
yeah, totally. Yeah,
I do. I mean, it's
done more things in the last 2 months than they did in the whole of 2017 for the good, anyway. Some things are still frustrating, of course they are. But like I said, you know, we've all said several times, it takes a long time to turn an oil tanker, you know. But they are definitely swinging it hard to port at the moment, as far as I'm concerned.
But looking at this, I've been looking at this. I quite often have friends and allies and all that say to me, "Oh, what should I use my points on?" I'm almost going to tell everyone, really, you need to try and get this.
I think it's a given.
Yeah. This is the given. I think the right tier this time, if you haven't got something already built, because you don't need both ships. So it's nice to get both, you know, the Hydras and the Buckies and that sort of stuff. And yeah, we have been locked out of some TLCs before, but I would take this over taking a second siege fleet. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my point. And I mean, I know you say it's a given for us on here, but there's a lot of people here who don't really think about it long and hard. They'll suddenly cash their points in and get something else, and they go, and then suddenly they realize when the FM changes or something comes up, "Oh, I wish I'd got the Inferno Dragon instead because I really needed it."
Well, I know, but statistically, I mean, 1/3 of players now in Battle Pirates are on the TFC. Okay, that is the approximate stat. 1/3 of the players.
On Slack, why only 1/3? Pull your finger out.
hey,
just kidding.
What's the water, mate? It's there for free. I don't make people join, and I don't stop people from joining. As long as they're polite and honest and upfront, then come on in and join the crowd. But you know, so. But I'd like to think that at least everybody that's on the TFC knows somebody, and that person knows somebody. So there's no reason why they.
Well, they're mad if they don't pay attention.
Yeah. So my advice is, and this is what I'm telling my guys, this is the hole to get. You know, and
I agree.
You know, unless you want to get into a bounty and you want to, you know, a bus and that sort of stuff, and you do want to do some stuff, then that's fine. Then the prices are ridiculously low, best that I've ever seen. So you know, yeah. But then, so they should be, because we're moving on. So because tiers of ships are moving up, and the bus and, you know, sloths are the older stuff. So I'm sure they'll be replaced quite soon, which is why they're quite cheap. But anyway, yeah. So Inferno Dragon, it looks funky. It should be funky to drive, and yeah, I won't lie. I've seen it, and I know George has as well. It does some wicked stuff.
Something just before we move on, something that really concerns me for old ships.
There's also a video of this. Kickstarter released a video, I think, today.
Oh, cool. That's okay.
Showing this and the new target, I believe.
Oh, that's nice.
There's a remote targeting evade of 95%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's an old stat.
That's concerning for things like monoliths doing anything in the new target.
Well, you got to remember that this is
really
also
not able to tank anything.
Well, you got to remember too that this is also a rocket hull, so it's going to be moving, and it's going to be a different type of build than what we've had. I mean, that is an old stat, so you got to go back and take a look at some of the other hulls that used to have that.
But it's a defensive stat.
Yes.
It's not an attacking stat. It's not going to back up. You know, you're not going to drag your monolith behind it and that sort of stuff, and then they're not going to have an effect of 95%. It's going to be the way around. Incoming stuff to you it's an evade of 95%.
Yeah, it's avoiding that ship and hitting the back line is the issue.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't.
It's sort of a transition period sort of thing where you would only have one or two built, and you're trying to drag your monos behind it, it's gonna hammer your monos a little bit.
I mean, I don't see them obviously allowing this ship to go in a 115 and that sort of stuff. I'd be very surprised if they do. I don't know if they won't, but I've got a funny feeling tier 7s get locked out of like 115s and below sort of stuff. So I don't know personally. If that is the case, I would start attacking the new targets unless they've dulled them down, and there is some word on that in GDR's full release, which we'll look at in a bit, that they will base it on the number, because they know the stats, so they've got to go and look in, and they've got to look at videos. They know their stats straight away. They'll know who's won it. They'll know how many people have built them, what they've built them with, and that sort of stuff, just by looking at their own data. So
yeah, I'm trying to follow what the issue is with the remote targeting evade, because it's not going to make it shoot at other hulls. That's like if a missile's shooting at you and it's at remote targeting range, it has a much higher chance of missing you. It's like an additional evade stat on the hull,
which is a bit of a buff, because if it's splash damage, it's not going to make a difference whether it's evade or no evade. Splash is splash at the end of the day.
Actually, evade actually is part of the splash calculation. Not much.
No, only a little bit though.
Very, very minimal, but it is in there.
It doesn't help a great deal. But anyway, that's a good one. Debate that on the weekend.
Yep.
Right, there's the 25 rocket, which is obviously geared towards this ship. It is a tier 7. I don't know if it's locked out, and it's quite heavy. So, but I don't know if it could be put onto other hulls, because I've not actually tried it yet. But it can probably go on to other things like icebreakers. But it is a bit of a pig weight-wise. So, but yeah, it's got a phenomenal amount of damage. You know, building damage there of 84k, reload time of 0.5. Range at 68, like I said, add that to the 55 as well. It's already built onto the hull, which is nice. So there you go. You're about 105, I think 105.4 or something like that. So it's a good range for a rocket hull, which indicates obviously that if you need a range of 105 to be kiting targets, then consider what else you might not or want to put into a target that needs a requirement of 105 for a rocket to hit the target.
Can I ask a new question?
Of course you can.
Mm-hmm.
Can this only go on the dragon breath or dragon, whatever it is? If you go back to the picture,
Nope.
I've lost it.
No, I don't think so. No. It's just heavy.
It can go on your Conquer hulls if you. So
Okay, it's just that I was just reading up top right there where it says. I forgot what it says now. Requires.
Yeah, if you go to the next. Go to the next slide for a second.
Requires dragon's breath.
The special ability actually only works if it's on the new hull. So otherwise, all you get is the left-hand side if you stick it on anything else.
Right, good to know.
See the blank wall damage there? That wall damage 51, building damage 32. But if it goes on the dragon's breath, then the wall damage is 168 and the building damage is 84. You don't add 84 to 32.
Think of it like a pack version or a rocket version of the pack.
Gotcha.
And it's got a trigger effect and that sort of stuff. It's a funky ship. Okay. And like I say, if that video's out, which somebody is actually showing somewhere. Hang on, let me just have a quick look. Venom's got it up now. Here we go.
Someone found it? Okay, good.
Yeah, Venom's got it. Flames, man. Okay. It's going to be staggered anyway, but there you go. Just indication that there is a video out there. So go and have a look at it in a bit. So, yeah, okay. Twin fire. Yeah. I'd like to call it the X something, just by the look of the rockets, the way they're laid out and that sort of stuff. Crossfire, twin fire, crossfire. Maybe crossfire would have been better. I don't know. Maybe you're not allowed to call something crossfire. But just the way it's laid out on the display there, it looks quite good.
God, I like that spread.
Mahusive, yeah.
Well, it didn't look cohesive in the video.
Well, it depends on what you're into. The spread's 15, so that's a pretty good base level.
No, spread's one.
Sorry. Yeah, spread 25, splash 15. Sorry. So
I wish those numbers were swapped. Honestly, I would much rather have
that'd
splash.
be nice.
25 splash. Imagine a start figure of 25. What you get up to about 350% or something. That'd be nuts, wouldn't it? Which is probably why it isn't reversed. But anyway,
one
have
can
fun
wish.
with that. Go on.
I said one can wish.
Oh, one could wish. Yeah, we could. And here we go. Look at this new engine thing. Yeah, sorry. I was just saying the engine. So the nice thing about this engine, it does fit obviously only look on garrison and generalists. Okay. But it's good because it does obviously explosive reload of 50%. So there you go. I'm not really sure we need that. By the time we've ranked that darn thing up And then we've got, because it's got a 0.5 reload anyway, and then we put rank on the ship up to, obviously, you know, I don't think we're going to get to the 0.2 figure very, very quickly. So you're not going to use all the bonus of that, I don't think. But combat speed bonus 70%, that's fitting, isn't it? Turn speed 120, I like that. That's going to help out some other ships as well, particularly some of the generous ones. And the map speed, well, that's standard anyway. So not a bad little engine, that one there. We've got quite a few new engines coming out, haven't we? So shame it's locked down to generalist and garrison only. But
yeah, I'm not that much of a fan of that one, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
I want speed. If it's a blitz hull, I want speed.
Yeah,
So
it's about 20%, if not more, less than your
speed system. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if this thing's going to be retrofittable with all the others. I'm not sure. Don't know yet.
I don't. If you check it in the shipyard at the moment,
It'll tell us.
It's saying the base stats. It's not saying any retrofit stats to it.
Then it is going to be slower. And we all know that blitz hulls, you need to race around a little bit.
We'll see.
However, it should have plenty of, obviously, you know, seven slots. Has it got this thing? I take it for specials. Probably has.
6 slots.
Six
Six,
slots.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Have fun building it anyway. By the time Huggy's back and got it in the builder, I'm sure people will be having good play. Oh, there we go. It's 6 slots then.
I would
Okay.
like to say that initial build time is quite nice.
It is, if that's the
2.5
genuine build
days.
time. 2 days. Build times are definitely looking favourable at the moment.
They
We
are
hope.
indeed.
Yep.
Let's hope that stays. Good. Right. So there we go. That's the RF-X. Okay, engine. What else we got then? Oh, I know what we got next. The future of PvE. Okay, and so GDR put a separate splash up today. Okay, and it's quite lengthy. Let me just have a look at I think I've got it. Yeah, here it is. Look. So it's on the general discussions. Okay, then if you look it up, it's info PvE plan for 2018. In true GDR style, it's got quite a bit of detail. It's not as bad as the last one. And it also got a link then to the Garrison and Forsaken mission post about the more information about how he's going forward. So he's linked it to another post of his, which is also quite lengthy, but very informative. So that's it in a nutshell. So I chopped out and I put the key components of that into a single slide, which I showed him, and he quite liked it and said that's got the key bits. So we'll break it down. So we have still got basically a 4-month cycle built inside a 3-month cycle, if that makes sense. That's 2018, okay? So whilst we are raiding in Siege, Assault, and Skirmish, in between and in the dull month, basically, which is where we are now, you will get the availability to grab a piece of FM tech. Don't fret yet, because there's a reason why this isn't so bad as maybe as you think it is. So it isn't very nice in February, I have to say. However, I am going to forego finishing, or I wouldn't recommend getting the second of the siege holes for now, and I would concentrate on the FM hole. Okay, so bear that in mind then. So in June will be the next one, and that's when it's important. So we do January, we're February, we've got 2 more to go, and then we're out of this cycle. And then we move on to Assault, which is nice. We get the first one out of the way May, okay then, which is when we'll get the new ship. Okay, and then we go into June. June is when obviously the FM hull comes out. So that's the second new ship in the PvE side of life. And why do I saying the second ship? Well, as George already knows, and anybody that's read the forums as well, thank the Lord, okay, and someone's been listening, but as of April the 1st, we are back to a single hull per cycle.
Yay!
I only have one concern on that.
Go on.
The only concern that I have is whether or not when the TLCs come out, it's going to be geared toward one choice or the other.
No, because it's going to be a single target, single hull. So there's going to be one S target, and then depending on how you build your ship will be dependent on how you have to drive that S target. So if they do release out a series of targets, depending on how you built your ship, whether you build it as a master blaster and go and blitz the heck out of it, or if you build it as a technical hull that you can kite and be really, really, fine, then that's how you will have to attack the target if it comes to a TLC. That's how it's described to me.
I'm hoping. I mean, that's the intent. I'm just hoping.
So as I've chopped all those bits out there, so there's no more wrong choice of hull. There is only one hull to win. Now, because there's only one hull to win, we're not going to get it before, we'll get it during and in. But because we're getting it during and in, the targets in the first raid will be geared so that the previous year's cycle hulls will be able to go and take part in the first one. And because they want to do that as well, this is why this whole sort of fits in together, they're now bringing back retrofits of the older hulls. Because we're halfway through, the first ones they're going to do for the garrison ones are going to be the icebreaker and the monolith. So they're going to get a retrofit, which will help us go into the target. So it's all linking in together now. So we're going to get to the retrofit. Yeah. So extended life for our older hulls, things obviously going into the assault. We'll be able to do, and retrofit those hull before the assault raid starts and that sort of stuff, allowing us to go in there, do the first targets for the first one in May, then win the hull. Then, based on how many they've managed to identify that people have built and how many they've got, then it'll be, how they escalate the target and bring it back into play. So, putting these things all together, I think this is a good way forward. And it's a very measurable way of going forward as well, I think. I think you can, for me, it's great. They've only got to build one target, which is what they used to do. It's a good quality target. They've only got to build one ship. We've only got to build one ship. And on that, based off of, as it says there, CICs, weapons, and specials options, you get to decree how that ship operates. The player does. Which I think is fab.
It brings a lot more variation. Not just to how you can run the targets, but how the player actually feels when they're driving. There's a lot of people can't. I don't want to say can't, but they struggle to drive in specific ways. And it is kind of annoying being dictated how you're supposed to drive.
Yeah.
But with this variation, it helps a lot. Of yes, you can just run it in a blitz, or you can set out ranging it and kiting it. It's
many
much better way to do it.
I think it's great. You just think of, like, let's just say you're running off a tablet. Let's just say you're a guy that's always got lag. Let's just say you're a guy that's not got very good hand-eye coordination. Let's just say you're a guy who got rheumatoid arthritis, for God's sake. So you are Mr. Blitzer, because you can't do that kiting, the fine-tuning sort of stuff, but you've still got the same hull to win. You've still got the same statistics, but just by changing a CIC, changing a weapon, and changing a special, all of a sudden you've got a finely honed precision tool instead, where someone has got excellent driving skills, good hand-eye coordination, no lag, well, as little as you can get away with this type of game, and your refresh rate's fine. You've got a good positive, high broadband connection, that sort of stuff, and you're going a different way. So it's good.
The good thing is this actually shows the direction that they're planning on going. My only wish is that they had done this transition first before they did the FM change, but it actually makes the rest of the year look much better than it did earlier, because when you started doing the numbers and started looking at what we had for tokens and available and everything, it was just like, oh my goodness, when are you going to get anything done? Now it looks like we might have a little bit of breathing room. Not much, but
we're going to have a bit of dock space. Just think that's 15 ships left, isn't it? 15 ships less straight away this year. So that's nice straight away. So instantly this year we've got 15 ships we don't have to build, which I like. There's 15 ships they haven't got to create. There's 15 targets, because it's tiered, isn't it, up and down? Or at least 3 S targets they haven't got to do. There's a TLC that will make it a flipping tight easy in the future as well, because it's going to be one set of targets. There's less mess to be out in the open water, because there's less targets going to be out there. There's so many positives as far as I can see from this.
I'll say this. At this point, just from today, 2018 looks about 10 times better than it did a month ago. So that's a good thing.
It's those steps. It's. Do you think so, guys? It's the steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yep. I think if we're going to sell this slide, I'll probably cut out and put it as a separate post. Okay. Yeah. Cheers, George. And you got to shoot off, mate. Thanks for coming in. I think that's a really important change in the game, and the fundamentals of playing the game. You know, getting your FM done and be able to compete and get some good quality tech. They have just made, I think, a huge step in the right direction. So someone's going to make a boo-boo somewhere and put a, you know, maybe the escalation might be too much, or maybe because it's a single hull, they might want too many points for it, so not many people will be able to get it. It's not all going to be good, okay? But as a concept, let's see how they deliver the concept, but as a concept, I like it.
Yep, definitely.
Good. Right. Okay. Which leaves us, I think, then with and good work, GDR. Thank you very much. Loving that. Right. Balance, bug fixes, and changes, and that sort of stuff. So, what do we got on this one here? So, this is the update on obviously that generalist hull, and added the ability for UAVs to chain to multiple targets. Started with the ability to chain to one additional to further target after the first, because it wasn't chaining apparently properly or something like that. UAVs will swarm the target for a second before moving on to the next or returning home if the next target is more than 50 range away, basically. So that's from the first target. That's the idea. And it basically says it makes full use of basically the air weapons slots on the generous expeditions that are coming up. So there's stuff coming, which we haven't seen. Correct an issue where base parts then were not being applied properly to instant builds. Did anybody notice that? I'm not sure. I haven't been doing much instant building with my base parts at the moment, I have to say.
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't either.
Nope.
And linked in with the chameleon update at the top then, obviously, as it says, the new generous cards will be added to the expedition system. These cards are going to give bonuses for each generous hull in your fleet, for each generous hull in your fleet, bear in mind. Okay, the more you build, the more bonuses you get. Sneaky way of making you coin your fleets, but there we go. However, build them slow, you'll still get the bonus in the end. Okay, and additional bonuses for generous flagship as well. So they not only want you to, you know, go ahead and build the 4 generous hulls, they want you to build that flagship.
Yep.
Don't know if you need it or not, but you could always just build it during the half day thing. That's 3 days, I think it is, and then just sit it in the corner and don't worry about taking it forward, maybe, and just drive the 4 that have built. I don't know. Maybe you could do that. Haven't seen the expedition, don't know. And that's it for slides. I don't have any more, I don't think, to be honest. No, that's it. So what do you think, guys?
It looks promising. It does.
Going to be an interesting time.
It is. It's, you know, in 2 months, that's really 2 quite interesting sort of like changes, and big changes, I think. I'm intrigued. I like the fact that we've now sort of like not just saying, all right, here's a turret, go and build as many as you like. You know, there's a turret, but you're not going to be able to actually become you aren't getting into my base no matter what, which means we've got to go and get a massive hole to go and be able to crack it next. So that's quite decent.
Well,
Build times seem, you know, in general terms on some of the holes seem to be coming down. The turret itself is a good build. I think you can probably get them. And I'll definitely advise my guys, get all your base parts done, knock a couple of turret tops off at the moment and just leave them blank until you're finishing the, you know, and you get them and then stick them on with base parts. Ready for bounty.
There's a couple of highlights there in PvP for me specifically. It's the turret build time is just fantastic. If it is that time that the radar was posted.
That's the second. I've seen it on the forums as well. The eventual one posted on the forums. So.
Yeah. If it could be kind and lower the times for the epic morts and stuff like that,
yeah,
which really should be lowered, since it's now much less effective than it initially was. But it is a good step in the right direction, where we've gone through the effort to get the stuff. Now we can actually use it in a decent time. I know a couple of people, including myself, who've just ran out of time building stuff in the base. By the time they've actually got the item in, it's now
obsolete. Yeah.
So it's definitely a massive step in the right direction. And locking it to 2, it's a fantastic way of bringing a little bit more balance to it. they've definitely learned their lesson from last year, and I think PvP, the way it's going at the moment, the balance is definitely coming back. I've seen a few bases where they're stopping new hulls, and a lot more ingenuity is required to hit specific bases, but it's a lot more balanced. It's not you die at the door now. You can actually get in, do a bit more damage. You can get 50%. So it's a real bright point. The balance is definitely coming back.
Yeah, I think the intent is there. I like it. Let's just monitor delivery, see how it goes, and that stuff. You know, the team, they're not going to get everything right. That they aren't, because they are second guessing everything that we want to do. But it's nice that, you know, they are definitely moving in the direction that they said they were going to do at the end of last year, and within the first 2 months, we're seeing some massive changes for the better in general terms, I think.
Yep.
Good.
The communication is very good this year as well.
Mm.
And even the presentation of the information that's being given out is much better. So we're not just getting blank statements with loads of spelling mistakes and grammar issues. We're getting well planned and orchestrated information that's simple for the users to read.
It's evident to me. Yeah, it's evident to me that there's linkage. There's linkage between the developers, the engineers, CM, and that sort of stuff. There's definite linkage now, which I don't think maybe there was at the back end of 2017, because they were like, "Holy cow, what's happening to the game?" You know. And I think they lost their own momentum and their own path and steerage to it personally.
Yep. But the communication's coming back, and the layout is becoming less confusing for people.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a bright year.
Certainly starting bright. Right. Okay. I'll just say thanks, Wayne, for coming in, buddy. It's good to have you.
Thanks for letting me in.
No, it's good. It's good, mate. And Venom, obviously, thanks as ever. And obviously, Cal, thank you as well, mate.
Thanks. Might see you Saturday night.
Yeah, it's all good. So we'll have the open mic on Saturday. Hang on a minute, Saturday. Yes, I will be here. That's it. Next Tuesday, I personally won't be here because I'm going overseas. Liam will be leading next Tuesday. He's half-terming with his lad at the moment. So I hope you're having a great time, Liam. Okay. George is off feeding his face. Ren's busy. And Brian works on weekdays now, so he's not in either. So thanks all for tuning in. Okay, I hope that information was worthwhile for you. We'll put the slides up on the page as ever, and spread the word. Okay, and, you know, I'm an advocate of good things as well as bad. I have my moaning moments. Okay, and but they have definitely listened, and I do think that we are definitely in a position where there is some light at the end of this tunnel, and it's a very nice bright light at the moment. Good. Right. Thanks all, and take care. Good evening.
Cheers.